Hello guys, welcome to Atomic Mass Transmissions Live, Special Edition Warzone, Journal Entry 1, The Punisher. Hope you guys are excited and ready to dive into this awesome character. With Dallas and I, we're going to be doing a duo painting apart but painting together. So bear with us just in case there's any kind of technical hiccups, because we are relying on the good old internet to bring us together for this special Gen Con Atomic Mass Transmissions Live event. So with that, let's dive right in and get to these Punishers. Dallas, I hope you're doing great over there. All right, here we go.
I'm ready to paint my Punisher.
And what are you going to be doing for your Punisher there, Dallas?
I think I'm just going to go traditional. So just black shirt, red skull or white skull, maybe splash a little bit of the white around it so it looks like it's painted on.
Well, I guess I'm going to have to come up with a different plan then, because I was going to go the traditional black too, but now I feel like two black Punishers would be too many black Punishers.
Is it? I mean, you could go red skull. Do a red skull.
I think so. I think we need to do something different.
Tell Dallas to move his camera to the left.
A red skull?
Yeah.
Hey Dallas, our boss Josh is telling me you need to move your camera to the left.
More.
Yeah, I keep saying that.
More, apparently. This is a fun game of telephone.
But yeah, like a red,
Josh?
I'll move it more.
You got to move it more, Josh
No.
says.
No. I'm squared up in the frame. I don't know what he wants.
Dallas is telling you no, Josh. He's not doing it.
His left is my right, but it shouldn't be the case.
I don't want to be in between mommy and daddy when they're fighting right now. This is an uncomfortable place to be. I just want to paint my Punisher with his Gobi brown pants.
How much more left do you want, Josh?
He's thinking. Hold on.
Okay. People were very excited for the Punisher on social media today.
Dallas, move the camera to the right.
He wants you to move the camera to the right now.
I think I did it wrong.
I mean, the Punisher's one of those characters. He's got quite the following.
It definitely was left.
Josh says the right was wrong. It definitely was left.
And a lot. Make him a lot.
By a lot. He wants a lot left. More than you feel comfortable with going to the left, Dallas. Gobi Brown.
How's that, Josh?
This is good for me, though. It means that I might actually finish at a part where Dallas gets to with half the time.
Now, too far left.
Now you've gone too far left, but I think that's a good statement here. So
There we go. Perfect.
no, stop. You're right there. You're perfectly on. Josh wants you to stop.
Well, I want Josh to stop, so we have an accord. Yeah, of course. I mean, Frank
I'm pretty
Castle.
sure all of chat wants Josh to stop, but they also want to see your sweet Punisher. So
I mean,
you
he's
know.
just getting some sick tan lines right now. Because it's sun's out, guns out.
He does rock that sleeveless shirt. Oh dear.
I saw a couple of comments about
I'm gonna go with some classic like hunting fatigue colors here. So we got Gobi brown for the pants. We're gonna do some mem green.
I've been waiting forever to paint this miniature.
So I'm zoning in on this super sweet tank top. Yeah, I mean, he's been one you've been talking about for quite some time.
I really like him. I mean, I like the Punisher, but I don't know. I just love I love this miniature, like that, just cool, calm, like I got control of the battlefield. Like look, he's got.
He is holding a detonator in his hand, so clearly something is about to go very wrong for his enemies.
Those were a lot of fun conversations we had when we were working on this guy. It was like kind of like what he was doing and what like interpretation like of his battlefield role. The delay is real.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of that process that always happens where you dive in and you start to figure out what you want. The character's battlefield role to be and how they're going to act on the table and what you're trying to capture from the comics. So it is certainly a fun challenge.
I'm just over here mixing paints. Sorry.
Back to Gobi Brown. Josh,
What color are you using for the green?
I used Mem Green. This one. Dallas hasn't told us what colors he's using. He's just going off book, apparently.
I got a giant collection of paints on my palette, and I just mixed
What do you think, Josh? Should we go real crazy here?
I mean, it is Gen Con weekend.
I know. That may change this equation, though. We'll see if Josh yells at me.
Did you hear my colors I was using?
Let's do an entirely different take on our Punisher. No, I think your sound cut out, my friend.
Ah. So I just got a bunch of different skin tones just kind of all over my palette. And I'm just kind of
Now you're back, Josh says, though. What's chat talking about, Josh?
They excited about Infinity Clash.
Did you say sad or...
They're excited.
Oh, I heard sad. I was like, that's really weird. Why would you be sad about Infinity Clash? It's going to be awesome. You guys are going to get to decide the fate of a potential alternate art card.
Illuminati all the way.
I'm going to make Josh play with me on the playtest table in the office before he can leave so that I can report an event. I can't believe you're going Illuminati, Dallas. I would have fully expected Black Order.
I gotta go Illuminati.
I'll be honest, I'm pretty sure that's who Josh will represent too. He's an Illuminati fan.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
He's all about secret conspiracies and controlling the events behind the scenes.
I mean, you should hear that guy when you give him a ride home from work. It's just nothing but conspiracy talk.
He loves a good conspiracy, that's for sure. Yeah.
I love how Frank has got himself some real high-end tech that he's probably like taken from some bad guys.
Oh, you mean his little blaster rifle thing?
Yeah, I can just see the story. Like he's just like,
Or what's in the bag?
or what's in the bag, both. like maybe he's like busted in on some gun smugglers, like, and he's just like, oh yeah, this will do. He's got his little detonator and his duffel bag full of who knows what's.
I'm pretty. Pretty sure that if it has a trigger and goes boom, or zap, or pow, or blam, Frank's in on it.
I agree with that. Everything's a weapon to the Punisher.
Oh, even words.
You don't think Frank could kill you with words?
I mean, probably. On the inside, in my soul.
Finish requesting Dolph Lundgren Punisher for yours.
For who? For mine? I mean, we're definitely going a different route than Dolph Lundgren. I started with a really dark skin tone. I totally just dropped my brush and it's gone.
It's gone forever.
Forever. I mean, I'm so cabled up right now between headphones and mics and light, power cords and everything. It's crazy.
Convince me to do Blonde Punisher.
Dallas, do Blonde Punisher.
All right.
Did I convince you?
I mean, why not?
Bam! That's how you do it, Josh.
He has to listen to you.
Does he?
I think so.
Does he really? I feel like there's been a number of times where I've said things and then been willfully ignored.
So are we going to bring that in?
I mean, it literally happened yesterday, so yes?
Wait, what happened yesterday? What did I ignore you on?
It's like every day with you. I can't say that on stream. I won't fall for this trick of saying something and then being like, well, now you got to do it. What's happening over there, Josh?
The chat is trying to pick up on subliminal messages. Because you mentioned that you're cabled up, now they're saying cable is confirmed.
I've confirmed nothing. Nothing.
He's just talking about headphone cables.
I'm talking about how I can apparently do this stream in my laundry room / personal office with 0 cables, and yet here I am completely like tied up to the point that I can barely even move. Because Josh is convinced that we need all of this stuff in order to, be able to paint a miniature on stream. We gotta get those tan combat boots going. That's not it. That's not it. Peanut butter.
Peanut butter?
Oh dear. I don't think we have a tan that's gonna work. Yeah, there's a peanut butter color.
Is Frank a crunchy or
Let me
smooth
just paint my
peanut butter
boots
guy?
black. Not today. Oh, I'd say smooth. I think he's a smooth peanut butter guy. Given his kind of penchant for, punishing folks for not following the rules, I feel like crunchy peanut butter is for rebels. Because it's not really peanut butter.
Wait, what?
It's like half peanut butter, half peanut. It's unfinished. How am I doing on that camera, Josh? I can't see anything.
Pretty good. Don't laugh at me when I answer your questions.
It's mostly the question mark at the end of it. It's like, that's not really helpful. I don't know what that means.
You're making me self-conscious.
Oh, those are some really yellow boots, but we're going to fix that. But first, it's gonna be like a khaki color. Oh, there we go. So for those wondering, I've used Sahara Brown as the base coat on those boots. I'm now moving on to Thar Brown, all from scale 75. I'm going to use this for his belts and such as well. Gonna blaze through.
So I'm doing blonde. I'm doing a blonde Punisher.
How much of his rules can I talk about, Josh?
You can tell them, you can answer the question, you can answer one question, does he blow stuff up? That's it.
Oh, I can answer the question as to why he has a detonator in his hand.
That's it. I'm serious.
I think this is like the best part of Punisher. Like,
I agree.
it must be Gen Con, because Josh is like, he's giving it all away. So obviously one of the big reference points about Punisher and stuff is that, you know, he's a guy that doesn't really have any superpowers. Like, really. He gets the whole, like, random suite of comic book hero abilities where, you know, he's got some pretty good ability to take a punch from people he probably shouldn't, and he can get thrown through a brick wall, but really anyone who puts on a superhero costume gets that. But at his core, he's just supposed to be this, like, super driven guy. And, like, really the way he succeeds is through the whole idea that, like, he outplans everybody. He's a tactical dude. He thinks about stuff. So I wanted to emphasize that in the comics, or in the game from the comics. And the idea I came up with, which drove Pagani nuts for a long time, because, of course, anytime we do something, like, crazy, he always puts him into fits because he's got to figure out how to make it work within the game, was the ability called Warzone. And in Warzone, you get to pay power on the Punisher's turn, and then as an action, you can blow up a terrain feature within a certain range of him, and then everyone around that terrain feature just suffers damage. So it's pretty phenomenally fun to do, and you're just like, guess you shouldn't have stood there. Click! Pandemonium, Punisher. Pandemonium. Of course, that rule went through several iterations to make sure that it was, you know, flavorful and yet worked within the game rules and was a good play experience on both sides. I'm pretty happy with where it came out, and I think it's one of those defining Punisher traits that I'm so excited we got in the game. And then also, obviously, we emphasized on the miniature. So he is in the middle of pulling off his Warzone power. As you can see, clicking the button.
I love anything that has to do with terrain.
And even though Josh doesn't want me to say it, he can't stop me. It is a sniper rifle that he's holding. I mean, you could stop at any time you wanted to, Josh. You could just push the button and end it, but you won't. I don't think. I'm not actually sure. I mean, it's hard to say.
I can Warzone this whole stream.
You could. You could Warzone the entire stream right now. You could pay your 3 power in action and click the button. How's it going over there, Dallas?
I'm putting my stubbles on. And what that means is I've taken my base flesh colors and mixed it together with a little gray and green.
Is it Unshaven Punisher?
Oh, yeah. He's grizzled. He's grizzled.
Is this the Punisher from the the World War Hulk Warzone? comics? He's just been in the trenches the whole time.
Frank never left the trenches.
I mean, he showers from time to time.
That's a plot device.
We're gonna grab. Showering is a plot device. You heard it here first, apparently.
Sure, you got a question?
I have an answer.
Punisher and Green Goblin, it seems like you're adding more effects that make characters want to stay away from terrain, as opposed to throw powers which make you want to stay near terrain for ammo. What is the ideal equilibrium of these effects?
Woo!
Wow.
That's a heady question. What is the equilibrium of effects that make you go towards terrain versus stay away from terrain? What I would probably say is that I think even in the subject of, well, I want to throw terrain, so I want to be near it, you really only need to be near that terrain during your activation. So in essence, if you see characters across the tabletop that are going to weaponize the terrain, it really becomes on you to figure out how you're going to play around that. And there are size restrictions, of course, that you also need to take into account. Like, much like anything else, Warzone also has certain things that the Punisher just doesn't have time to blow up in a Marvel Crisis Protocol battle. So there's tactical choice and counterplay there. But I think, the big thing is that this is just part of our testing, is watching how many different characters you can have with throw, or, in now the new case, kind of other ways to weaponize terrain. But it's also important to remember that one of the core pillars of Crisis Protocol in general is the idea that the terrain is interactive and it's part of the battlefield, and certain characters will make up for that. Some of the balance is, if a character has a throw power or a way to now weaponize the terrain that's not necessarily a throw but may work in the same way. And I will say that Warzone does not work in the same way as the Green Goblin power. It is different, kind of widely so. But you watch that and it becomes part of the character's threat value. It becomes part of the rest of their suite of abilities are kind of built around that. So it's something that we're always watching. And it can lead to a character's threat value going up or down. But ideally, even if every character on an opposing team has a way to blow up the terrain, throw the terrain, etc., you're still, as a player, going to be able to play around that and play against it, because you're going to know, you obviously know what those characters can do, what they want to do. And then it comes down to a question of how do you counterplay that? Which characters do you want to take? And there are certain characters that are coming out that, will offer some different options against throws and other kind of terrain effects as well. So there's always kind of an evolving game system. And I think that's what keeps gameplay fun and fresh and interesting, is every time a question comes out, it's partly our job and something that Pagani really excels at and our testers are very good at looking at, what we need to counterplay against it and to add options and answers and to keep everything fresh and interesting without going so far as to make original characters or characters that came before completely invalid or struggle, without having some of the new tech. And we'll talk some about this, I'm sure, in our design philosophy class that we're doing. I think is that one on Friday, Josh? Help me out.
That is
Saturday? We have one on Friday and one on Saturday.
Friday is the creating the protocol.
Yeah, so Friday on creating the protocol, which you can check out the times for on the website. We'll be talking a bit about that and like how we approach the game and what we're looking for the game. At the end of the day, the most important part is that we're capturing the flavor and the fun of the Marvel Universe and the characters that, live within it. So I can't imagine a Punisher that didn't have some kind of way to blow up terrain. Just like I can't imagine a Green Goblin that didn't have some way to set sneaky traps that, you know, he can spring on his enemies all of a sudden, because that's what these characters do so much of in the stories and the comics, and it's part of their identities. So then the challenge just becomes, you know, watching that, balancing around it, doing a lot of testing to make sure that everything's still working the way we want it to. And I like to think that, you know, between everyone who's poured so much time and effort in it, and, you know, thinking about these things and working so far ahead, which is another big thing, is that we're obviously testing these things way back. Like Punisher was being worked on when we were still looking at some of the core set stuff, and that helps as well. You know, getting far enough ahead on testing and that kind of stuff that you can make these kind of assertions and affect changes that might need to happen because something's happening. And sometimes certain things will go in reverse and they'll affect characters that come out before. Bullseye, or what's that power? Hit and run. That's it. No, not hit and run. What's the power, Josh? Help me out. The one that Black Widow has. The new Black Widow. Strike and fade. Something like that. There's a thing. There's a name for it. It's the one where she hits you and then runs away short. Whatever. Parting shot. Thank you.
Thanks, Pagani.
That power actually was on a character that was coming out later in the cycle, but got retroactively placed on Widow through testing and kind of looking at what she wanted and what she needed. And we're like, this is a great place to put that. So it's another benefit of, you know, being far ahead and working on things, not just in a vacuum of, well, these are the releases, but working on things in whole, because in the end of the day, the game is one whole system. It's one whole experience, and we want everyone to be able to feel happy and comfortable that they can take the characters they love and have a good experience and have fun. Is it going to be the most winningest of combinations? Maybe not. I mean, there's always going to be a curve. You can never flatten, you know, the power curve completely. You can't make it so that something's not on one end versus the other. You can narrow it as much as you can, but by the same token, you know, the mentality and the mindset of these games, of this game and these characters and stuff is not, you know, it's not about what's the maximum and what's the minimum. It's about having that curve be narrow enough for those two sides to be close enough together that you can take whatever you love and have a good time with it. And you can tell a great story and you can have fun with your opponent, and everyone's going to get their chance to kind of shine with their characters. And we're going to walk away and have some amazing Marvel stories that we created ourselves with these characters that we know and love and put our time and hobby effort into. I don't remember what we were talking about, but there you go. Random paint thoughts.
You got him monologuing.
Doesn't take much.
Just ask about a cool Marvel character. Shick will tell you about it.
Right. So do we balance different terrain effects and stuff? We do, but in ways that aren't like, well, we can only have X number of characters that can do this, or Y number of characters that can do that. On the flip side, there are definitely design choices made about affiliations and the characters in them as to their overall play style. So The Black Order is a great example of one where we very specifically designed these characters to be extremely offensive, but they lack a lot of board control that you'll notice in certain other affiliations, more so than even the affiliations that only have some board control. You have Thanos, who's got some manipulation, placement abilities, and a throw, and then you have Black Dwarf, and then otherwise, there's really no way that the Black Order interact with enemy characters outside of just, knocking them out. Like, they can KO them, and they can do that fairly well, but they're not pushing them, they're not really throwing them very often, and they're not placing them very often. And that was definitely kind of core to what we wanted that affiliation to focus on. And then you have other affiliations, like, for example, the Web Warriors, who are very much about defense and the objective plays. They're primarily focused on, well, how do we protect the civilians? How do we score points? How do we stop the enemy from scoring points? So you have things like Miles' Venom Blast that makes them drop objectives, which is really unique so far in the game. You have their leadership ability for Miles. You have the web snares, the web lines. Like, there's a lot of ways for them to mess with their opponents. But the flip side is that, I don't think that they're going to be your KO squad. You're not going to just grab them and go, okay, well, now we can beat the tar out of everybody who we come across. Because that's not them. How was that, Josh?
That was very professional, boss. Thank you.
Highlight this skull and his rippling pecs.
He's definitely buff. Our sculptor Gail Gumon did our Punisher here, and he looks like the Punisher to me.
Yeah, he did a great job.
How's yours coming along?
It's coming. I'm having fun. We're doing some really wild stuff here. I'm just going to highlight this skin and just keep going. We're just playing along.
Look how blonde this guy is.
Will the Punisher miniature have options like the new X-Men stuff?
No, the Punisher. He's super blonde. He's a real American hero type dude, Dolph Lundgren, who's totally not American in any way, shape, or form. But will the Punisher have options? No, the Punisher won't. Part of that. So there's a little bit of a decision at the front in terms of like what options make sense, what can work into the sculpt really easily. So with the X-Men stuff, you know, there's a lot of different head options. And then with Beast, we went one step further and we did a different arm option because we thought it'd be really fun to have both intellectual Beast and then kind of like battle-ready Beast.
That was to appease
And
Josh.
because of the way those characters were posed, it was a lot easier to come up with really simple swaps that provided options and things like that. With the Punisher, you know, we could have maybe done sleeves or no sleeves, but he doesn't wear a mask, obviously. Like, he's a pretty standard looking guy. And you don't want to come up with something where you wind up with a lot of unused parts or things that, you know, wind up on that frame. So we kind of have thus far in our explorations really stuck to just exploring things that are like simple swaps that are really flavorful and fit within the bounds of what we're already doing with the character. So Wolverine is one of those characters where you see the mask off almost as much as you see the mask on. And that's a really easy swap to do. Dallas, feel free to tap in if you want.
Yeah, it's a lot of, like Shick is saying, there's a lot of decisions that has to be made at the beginning with poses and then engineering. Engineering makes everything either possible or not possible. So a lot of design choices have to be made. So if we know that a chest is going to be cut in half, we might not want to like do like an alternate front chest because that might mean that the back chest and then like the pouch and like it becomes like a what's the word cascading effect. So you don't really want to provide too much or not provide, but it becomes much more difficult to fit it all on a frame. So there's a lot of design and thought going into what and how we can provide extra options. Does that make sense? That makes sense.
I'll see if we get the thumbs up from Josh and if it made sense or not. Did our answer make sense, Josh?
Yes.
Are you happy, Pop Pop? Are you happy?
I'm not like 3 levels of pain above me.
I think you're Pop Pop. You have all the control. We only do this to make you happy, Josh. Everything we do right now.
I mean, beast options were definitely for Josh.
$100%. 100. I mean, yeah, let's go with that. 100%. Josh. It was all Josh.
Josh fought for the book, and I was not convinced we were going to be able to do it.
Rules and sculpt influence each other.
Ooh.
I mean, I fought for the spectacles, so I can't really give Josh too much of a hard time.
It's true.
So rules and sculpts, like the nice thing is the way in which we do our process, and this is kind of a panel to play preview that we'll be talking about on Saturday. But we concept the sculpt and the miniature at the same time as we build the design documents for the characters' rules themselves. And typically I wind up starting that process. So I'll create both somewhat at the same time, and that kind of unification means that we wind up in a situation where, of course, we can make sculpts that reflect the rules and vice versa. There are times where certain things can flip on us, and the Punisher is a good example of that, actually, where originally we had him with a different type of blaster gun that he also had options to use, but the sculpts didn't reflect those, and so we did make the decision to effectively, in this case, just rename the attack, which is an easy way to kind of replicate that, because the attacks themselves are kind of abstractions on what's happening in the battlefield, so it's a lot easier to create some differences and things when you need to. But by and large, the sculpts, because they're concepted and figured out at the same time that we're doing the design processing as part of the whole design concept, we don't usually wind up in a place where we're making concessions one way or the other. If there's a cool idea that comes out in the sculpting process, or the sculptor in Dallas or the engineers happen to have something that just seems brilliant, or we come up with something through testing and rules development that says, well, this would be so awesome, and it's one of those core things that needs to be visually represented on the character because it's very specific, we will obviously do that, because our number one goal is always to make the most exciting and fun versions of these characters that we can. And so when that kind of happens mid-process, if we can affect it, we will, and if not, we'll put it in our back pocket and we'll hold on to it for, hopefully when we get to the next version of that character someday in the future. Because as we've discussed before as well, all of these characters have such great histories in the Marvel universe that there's a lot of potential to go back and do them at different time periods. And that's something that I'll save for panel to play. Let's keep going. I shouldn't do that, though. We have so much more digital Gen Con to go. I'm sure Dallas could add stuff to it, too, if we wanted.
I think you covered it. I'm trying to think of one good example that we can talk about where the sculpt influenced the rules. I don't think we have anything we can talk about. I mean, we work so close together about all this stuff, it all just becomes one process almost.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's really core to kind of how the studio operates and the way we want to do stuff and everything, is that we're not islands and we're not doing things apart. We're doing everything together. Everybody gets to see what's going on and everybody gets to have a say. Josh can say, well, we should have 2 heads for Beast, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, so many people, everybody in the company looks at, sculpts and rules.
So it's a very collaborative environment.
Yeah. And we open the floor up for everybody to have input on these. So if an idea comes up, we talk about it, and then we're like, all right, well, can we make that work, like you said? I need a little more red around my eyes.
He hasn't slept very often.
He's been up on he's been staking out some warehouse for 3 days now, waiting for the bad guys to show up to blow him up with his detonator.
Oh. I believe you mean peacefully apprehend them with his detonator, sir.
Peacefully, it's a web detonator, a webinator.
There you go. He stole it from Peter Parker.
Yeah, he took when Peter wasn't looking, he got some of those web slingers, and he reverse engineered them and made a web bomb. A kinder, gentler Frank.
You know, maybe the world would be a slightly better place if there's a little less punishment and a little more, gentleness. It's a thought.
Sounds like we're gonna have a sing-along today, kids.
Get the kumbaya out. That's what you sing, right? When you're around a campfire for unity, it's kumbaya.
Look, Frank Castle dreams of a world where he doesn't have to be Frank Castle.
I never went to summer camp. I couldn't tell you. Is that true?
No, not really.
This feels like something Frank's PR guy, who doesn't exist, tells you. I was going to say, not once have I ever read a Punisher comic and been like, this guy yearns for the time when he doesn't have to do his job. Josh, did you fall asleep?
I'm here.
And just some really rhythmic, deep breathing going on from you over there, man.
Is Josh napping?
I know what a fan sounds like versus a human being.
No, you don't, obviously.
Don't try to gaslight me right now. He is. I'm just shocked Josh hasn't started yelling at us about how we have like 5 minutes left or something.
No, I'm giving you a little extra time.
Oh, are you? Is it because you were sleeping?
You're gonna make him so mad at you.
What? How long? It's been like forever since I've been able to yell at him through paned glass and a closed door. Because even together, we're still being safe.
I feel like I like this Vietnam era Punisher you got going on there, Shick.
Yeah, he's going. He's going. We've gone to a different universe, but he's definitely like jungle. He's Jungle Frank. Like I said, I didn't want to copy you, so we had to go different. And I decided if I was going to go different, then we were going to go all different. So I think that detonator is going to need a big glowy red button, though.
Yeah.
You got to know where to push it.
Detonate the webinator.
That's right. Definitely going to have to be a card now.
The webinator?
Yeah.
I'm in.
About 5 minutes, guys.
5 minutes. 5-minute warning. That's all right because we got our button in there, so I feel okay about it.
You feeling good about your paint job, your miniature?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy. I mean, he needs some glazes to tie everything together, I think, and I still got to do his hair. But I'm pretty happy with where he's coming out. He's definitely ready to hit the tabletop in short order.
That's where I'm at. You can see him.
Woo! I'll be honest with you, that blonde hair looks red on camera, though. But I'm also looking at it on my phone. It's very small.
There's like a reddish brown in the undertone. So, because I didn't want to make it like stark blonde, but there's reddish brown there. So that's your phone's probably picking that up pretty good.
Let's get some hair on this Punisher. But yeah, I just need some time to glaze, tie some of my colors together, give me some volume and some definition a little bit more, and I think we're good.
Oh no, where's my green black?
All right, Josh, we got paint on every part of this guy, so I'm ready. I'm ready to be done. Otherwise, I'm just going to start going into it.
How does Dallas feel about his?
I don't know, Dallas, how you feeling?
Pretty
It would
good.
go all day though.
That's true. I'm feeling pretty good. I got pretty much the skin done, the hair done, most of the shirt done. I'm almost through the gun. I just got to finish my detonator, my gloves, my pants, and my boots. And my bag. What color is the bag?
I don't know what color you want your bag to be.
I don't know. I think green.
Olive drab green.
It's got to be a version of black.
Because everything's black? So dark.
Look at him. He's so
I'm just waiting for
green.
Josh to make the call here. Just gonna futz with my glowy detonator.
Alright, if Dallas is good, it's on you.
All right, apparently Dallas, we're gonna say goodbye now. So
Right.
I'll
Bye.
chat with
Bye.
you later, bud.
Bye, everybody.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this intrepid Atomic Mass Transmissions Live, painting apart while painting together. Hope you guys had a fun time, learned some things, and are very excited for Mr. Frank Castle to come out. You're inspired with your own crazy ideas for how to treat this classic, iconic Marvel character. Be sure to tune in for our next stream, which is, Josh, 3 p.m. Pacific time today on our Twitch channel. It is the art one? Unlocking Your Metalocity with Dallas Kemp. This is going to be a full-blown paint teaching class where he's going to go through technique. He's going to show you exactly how to do things to get great results with your metal colors. He's going to be flying solo on that one. I'm really excited to tune in. I'll be hopping in the chat because I want to learn as well. I always love watching Dallas teach painting. It's a phenomenal experience. So be sure to tune in for that. And then, of course, check out our schedule for the rest of the weekend. We got plenty of great stuff coming your way. Thank you for joining us at this first, second, third, whatever number of digital Gen Con streams we're on. I think it's the second officially. Be sure to tune in at 3 p.m. Pacific time. We will see you on the next one, and take care, guys. Bye.